It's like loading. Oh, and we are live. What's up, guys? We got Mari Sense joining us. Yeah, welcome to the stream.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Super happy to be here.
Yeah, pleasure, pleasure. So, for anyone who's not familiar, just give a quick. I mean, I sure your name kind of gives it away, but let's do like a quick 30-second summary anyway.
Yeah, so my channel, it's mainly in Spanish. I do have some videos in English, but I talk about fragrances. I am a big collectionist and I know many fragrances by now, especially men's fragrances. I review those and yeah, I always like to give my opinion on what's I think the sexiest fragrances, the best fragrances for certain occasions and stuff like that.
Okay, let's start with this. Why are fragrances important in the first place? That's
I think I think fragrances, they're a very easy and overlooked way to make a good impression and to make yourself memorable. It's a very simple way to make a good impression on somebody. You can be very well dressed and be very articulate, and those things will take you incredibly far. But having a good fragrance that will allow you to make a good impression. And when I say good fragrance, I mean a good fragrance for you, not necessarily one that everybody uses or something, but one that fits you well, that can really make the person remember you better. That can just make you stand out, I think.
okay. So summary. Smelling good helps you attract girls.
Yes, for sure.
I think this is something that a lot of guys don't really realize. It's actually something that I didn't even really pay attention to up until like about a year ago. Let's do a quick like for anyone. Let's pretend like everyone watching this knows nothing about fragrances, which is not necessarily the case. We'll just
Yeah.
assume that and make this as simple as possible. What's a good starting point? Like, what are some good colognes that guys should get?
Yeah, so everybody knows Acqua di Gio from Armani. It's a very popular fragrance, and sometimes popular fragrances are not the best, but Acqua di Gio is actually a really good fragrance. It's very well crafted. The perfumer behind it, he's amazing. It's very popular though, so I don't really recommend it. I don't think it's good because of that, because everybody knows it, everybody owns it. So let's say you do like Acqua di Gio and you own Acqua di Gio. A good alternative to that is Acqua di Gio Profumo, also by the same line, the same perfumer and everything. So that's a good one, Acqua di Gio Profumo. I think it also depends on what fits you as a person and what your motives are. So if you want a fragrance for work, that's not going to be the same fragrance that you would use for a date, for the club, for winter, summer. It's a way more specific than that. But good starter one, since you asked me that. Acqua di Gio Profumo is good. I like to recommend Platinum Egoist from Chanel if you're over 30. It's not so much like a younger guy fragrance, but it's more of a mature one. There's Ombre Leather from Tom Ford. A lot of Tom Ford ones actually are pretty good. I would say also Tuscan Leather from Tom Ford, Terre d'Hermès. Those are good, just classic. Bleu de Chanel is also good, but it's also very popular now. Dior Sauvage is immensely popular. I'm sure you know that one, Alex. Dior Sauvage.
I
You
the
don't?
only one I know is Chanel Blue because that's the one I wear. Is that one good?
Okay. Yes, yeah. It's a good one. It's also just incredibly popular though. Dior Sauvage is very, very, very popular. And it's good. It will get you compliments, but you'll smell generic. So Dior Sauvage Elixir, that one just came out, and it's way superior in my opinion.
How much is price factor into this? So is there like for example, a $50 cologne? Like how much better is a $200 cologne than a $50 cologne?
I do think price factors. Not always. You can find some good fragrances that are not incredibly overpriced. Like there's Bentley for Man Intense, I think it's what it's called. That one's like $30 or something, and it's supposed to be very good. But what you get when you pay for a more expensive fragrance, one, you get a more unique scent. Not everybody's walking around wearing a 200, 300, $400 fragrance. So you get something that's very tailored, not generic. And you also typically, not always, but typically get something that has better performance. So it will project better. People will smell you from much farther. You'll make a much better impression, and it will last longer also. So it does usually play into it, but not always.
How much? Okay, next question. How much cologne should a guy wear? Because this is like some guys overpowered. What's like the right amount? And also like how do you apply it correctly?
Yeah. So this might seem like an unpopular opinion, but I don't think most men are applying nearly as much fragrance as they should. I rarely smell fragrance on guys, rarely. And most of the time they are wearing something. They'll tell me I'm wearing, because I talk about this, with guy friends and with people I meet all the time, because obviously I'm passionate about it. And I'll ask them what they're wearing, or they'll tell me what they're wearing. And 90% of the time I can't smell it because they spray maybe like one, two, just like the very basic. I think, as crazy as it sounds, really depends on the fragrance also, but depending on the fragrance, if it's a heavier fragrance, maybe 4 to 5 sprays. If it's a very light fragrance, something like Acqua di Gio Profumo, you could do a good 8 sprays, and that will actually get you to smell. It sounds like a lot, but once you start walking, the wind starts hitting you, you start getting moved up. It's not going to be as many sprays as you might think.
I guess it also matters where you live because you're like in Europe, right,
Yeah.
where it's like more versus I'm in Miami, where
Yeah.
like the wind, like it's just like a sauna, pretty much.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um,
So I'm actually from Miami, and in
oh,
Miami, yeah, the heat actually makes the fragrance last less. So if you're in
oh,
a colder place, you can get away with spraying a little bit less. But if you're in Miami,
oh,
you better,
interesting.
yeah, take a lot.
What about okay? What about the fact that like people have different sense of smell? Like for example, me, I have a really bad sense of smell. Like I'm the person that can't smell shit unless it's like in your face. Like it's to the point where I didn't know I had COVID for a week just because I naturally can't smell. Versus my roommate, his nose is like super sensitive. So for example,
Yeah.
he's like, he'll be like, bro, the apartment is starting to smell. I'd be like, I don't smell anything. So how do you adjust for that? The fact that just people have different strengths of nose. For some people it might be not enough. Some people it might be overpowering, right? How do you find that balance?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely difficult. I'm actually someone I'm asthmatic, and I'm very allergic to things, so I don't go crazy with the fragrance either. But I think it's if you're gonna be in an indoor space, let's say like if you're gonna go for dinner or something, you might not wanna overdo it because you want to be respectful towards the people who are sitting with you, the people around you, and whatnot. But if let's say you're going out clubbing or you're going to be outdoors, I don't think you have to be as considerate. And some people, sure, they have a more careful sense of smell. I guess they have a more defined sense of smell, but that's more rare, I would say. So I do say, oh, if you're debating between spraying less or spraying more, usually the answer is spray more.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about pheromones? I've never really researched it, but there's some people who claim that like, oh, if you use pheromones, you can make girls like hit them like they make become attracted because it's like a primal thing. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Honestly, I haven't researched much about it. Some fragrances already come with them, but I think if you have an attractive fragrance, doesn't really matter if it has them or not. It's going to be attractive regardless.
Hmm. Yeah, because like on Amazon, there's like some claims like if you type in
Yeah,
pheromones, it's like the number one thing make every girl super attracted. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, let me try this shit. See if it
Some
works.
people swear by them. Yeah, some people swear by them.
I think it can be a little bit of a placebo effect because you feel like you're going to attract every girl, so you're more confident and you're more
I think that's
charismatic.
extremely important. Yeah. And actually going off by that, that's something that I always speak about too. I think if you smell good and you have a fragrance that you personally like and that makes you feel sexy, even if you only spray a little and even if people can't smell it so much, as long as you feel confident and you feel sexy because of the fragrance and hopefully everything else, because the fragrance can only get you so far. I think that's gonna make a huge difference how you carry yourself.
Mm-hmm. What let's quickly touch on women because like there's like 20% female audience. What are like the best scents for women in your opinion?
So in my experience, I'm gonna mention more, I guess, generic fragrances. I don't want to say really unique names that nobody knows about necessarily, but some really good fragrances that I recommend. Every guy out there seems to like light blue and light blue intense from Dolce and Gabbana, and that's actually really funny because it's actually a very affordable fragrance. It's only like I got mine online for like $35. It's 80 in Sephora, but you can definitely find it cheaper. So that's a huge popular fragrance. Everybody likes it. It's a very clean fragrance, but everybody likes it. So light blue from Dolce and Gabbana. Personally, I have La Nuit Tresor from Lancome. That's a very sweet, sexy nighttime fragrance, kind of like Black Opium, but Black Opium is way too popular. I wouldn't recommend it, but La Nuit Tresor is really good. Another one that's popular, but that I also recommend, I wouldn't wear it personally, but I recommend, is Good Girl from Carolina Herrera. That's
These names: Black Opium, Good Girl. I like this.
yeah. So those are really popular ones. Obviously there are more niche ones. Like let me actually have my fragrances right here. So this is Rose Vanille from Mancera. It's more on the niche side. It's still pretty decently priced. It's only like $100, which for niche fragrance is actually like way on the cheaper side. This is a huge compliment getter also because it has a really nice kind of freshness from the rose, but it also has like a really deep base of vanilla. So it's very feminine in that sense. So those are some good ones.
Okay, interesting. On a different note, since you're from Miami, how did you wind up in Europe? Out of curiosity.
Yeah. So I actually used to live in Europe when I was younger. I'm from Cuba originally, but
Mhm.
I lived in Spain as a little girl because of my background in Spanish.
Mhm.
And then I went to the United States. I moved there a little bit. Ended up in, well, my family lives in Miami, so I always went back to Miami. And I'm getting my master's in Paris right now. So not perfume related, I wish. But yeah, that's how I ended up here, just doing my master's.
Gotcha. Do companies send you like various scents at this point to like oh review my thing and like maybe you could put it up on channel? Do you get like offers like that all the time?
I do. I'm fairly new on YouTube. I've only been doing it for I think a year now, so
Mhm.
it's not like I got many options like that. But I have gotten some fragrances sent, and actually the Mancera one, Mancera didn't send it to me. That would be huge, but somebody else did, so that I could talk about their store.
Yeah, I get offers like that pretty often, but it's always like weird things. It's like sex toys or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like dating apps. Like, hey, we got this sugar daddy multimillionaire app. We'll give you free access for 3 months if you want to test it. I've turned every single one of them down because I don't want to be like sponsored. But
You don't
yeah,
want to be associated with that, yeah.
it's pretty interesting. On a different note, I also want to ask. So, what are your thoughts about the Manosphere? Because I know you're like somewhat like right, like you like watching the Master a little bit, right?
I do. It's a little weird to admit, but I do really like watching channels that are directed towards men. I don't know why. Like it's not because I'm trying to be that way or anything. I just find it really interesting because I guess as a girl, most of my friends are girls and I never really thought about the issues that men have or some of the things that they have to experience and it really opened my eyes and yeah, I realized that they also have their stuff going and it made me more receptive and made me open my eyes a little bit. So I do watch a lot of Manosphere channels, funny enough.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good thing, like being, and vice versa for a guy to like be like open to
Yeah,
like some
for
issues
sure.
that girls have. I think the problem is that like with the sexist, it's like guys think, oh, girls have it so easy, they don't have any problems, and girls think, oh, guys have it so easy, they don't have any
Yeah,
problems. It's like two sides living in an echo chamber. What are some of like the
that's
biggest things you've personally learned?
so I would say something that I've really kind of realized is I've never really been someone to approach anybody. Like I'll approach someone in a friendly way. I'll be like, "Oh, I like your t-shirt, your cologne, whatever." Whether it's a girl or a guy, just in a friendly way. But I've never like had to approach someone romantically or anything like that. I would be quite shy to do that, honestly. And
Yeah,
I always put myself in the shoes of guys because for me that would be very difficult to have to approach someone and to have to deal with the potential of rejection and
Rob,
especially nowadays it's very easy to be labeled as creepy for just
Rob,
approaching someone like you do the smallest
yeah,
thing off you say this the weirdest thing off and all of a sudden you're a creep or something so I always try to be very kind even if I'm not interested in the person I always try to be very kind and just very I don't know nice about it because that would be very difficult for me to have to approach women to get to know them so that's something for instance that yeah I keep in mind.
yeah. That's tricky. How often do you get approached? Would you say like if you're out and
Depends on the day. Depends on my overall vibe, I guess.
about? Yeah, it's a fun question to ask.
Yeah.
Have you found that like there's a big gap in like the game that guys have. Like for example, like some guys approach you and they're just like leagues better than other guys.
Honestly, depends on where you are. I feel like in Miami, I feel like in Miami, there's many confident guys who obviously do a lot of approaching and are very confident about that. Here, I haven't been here for long, but I would say that the men here are way less aggressive and less kind of confident in that way. I think that some guys in Miami are super confident, and so you can tell they do this like night and day, and they're really smooth. I haven't really encountered many smooth people here,
Interesting. I
but
would think there would be like a lot of like, like confident French guys like smoking a cigarette. What's up? Like rolling up like with like a baguette and a cigarette.
yeah,
Yeah, like
some of them are, yeah. Yeah, I mean, usually even the ones who do approach you, they're more subtle about it. They're not super straightforward, super direct. Which I actually do like more direct,
mhm.
approaching. So yeah,
That's funny because pretty much every girl I've had on the podcast said something similar that like, I prefer when a guy is more direct. But I think it
yeah,
can be tricky for a guy to find the balance between being direct and coming off too strong, like, hey, you're really hot, right? That would probably be too
yeah,
direct
yeah,
standards.
yeah.
Versus like beating around the bush. Hey, so do you know where the Starbucks is? Oh, haha. Yeah, so I think that can be tricky for a lot of guys. What I also know you're a fan of Tate, right? Andrew Tate, or
Yes, I like. Yeah, I like. That's funny.
what
Yeah,
what what what
very.
what what appeals to you about him?
I think we think in a similar way. That sounds weird because we live completely different lives, obviously. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I
I'm
am a
assuming
very
you don't
direct
have
person.
like a house full
Just
of
regard
webcam
collection.
girls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not yet. I don't have that yet. But so yeah, I see things very directly the way that he does, and I've always been very direct, and that can kind of offend some people. And he doesn't care about offending anybody, and I really appreciate the brutal honesty because nowadays you have to be again so sensitive and so careful with the way you speak and the things that you say. But he does not care. He's very just direct and black and white, and I appreciate the freshness.
Yeah, it's funny because he has like kind of like a celebrity status in the Manosphere. Like a lot of
Yeah,
guys like really, I don't know, look up to him. Which that's
yeah,
not to say
for
it's
sure.
wrong. I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but it's
see it
kind
on
of,
his comments. People
yeah,
love him. Yeah,
it's
he
kind of
really loves
it's pretty funny to me. Like that,
him.
it's like the cult following that the Tate brothers have. But it's interesting. Yeah, they're like super masculine, super dominant. You kind of see it when they were on like the Fresh and Fit podcast. You could see like the
Yeah,
girls like being attracted.
yeah.
Um, what are some of like your least favorite like Manosphere guys?
I don't know that I have least favorite ones because the ones that I watch are very popular. Honestly, yeah, I watch very popular channels, so maybe there's some that are not so popular for a reason, and I don't watch them, so I wouldn't know. But I can tell you who I do like, and I like the roommates. I like Fresh and Fit. Sometimes I watch their videos. Makes me a little nostalgic when I miss Miami. I just put on Fresh and Fit. I like Abon Preach also. I like Jordan Peterson. I don't know if these are considered manosphere, to be honest. I
Yeah,
don't
they
even
are.
know what
They are.
term.
They are. Yeah, loosely.
Okay. Yeah, I like Jordan Peterson too. He's very intellectual and I appreciate that. So yeah, those are my main ones, I would say.
Yeah, Jordan's cool. I'd like to get him on for a podcast. It'd be an interesting discussion because
Yeah.
he's very like conservative, I guess sexually. Like, he's like been married. He
Yeah,
talks about like
definitely.
how, like you don't want to have casual sex and it's like
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah, yeah.
are meaningless, right? Which would be interesting. But at the same time, he's very like pro guy and like pro men's issues. So it's like
Yeah,
an interesting balance that he has, which will be fun to explore. I find that
yeah.
like I haven't really seen him do a podcast where like people like really explore that. They're mostly just like, harping on like one side. All right, let's take some questions. We got a bunch building up. We're gonna skip all the troll ones for obvious reasons. Okay. Let's see. He's probably making his kava and getting a haircut. uh,
Who is?
Me.
Oh,
Like an
you
inside
drink
joke.
kava?
I do. Yeah. You like kava?
I love kava. Yeah, love it.
Oh shit.
I actually have some right here. Yeah.
Nice. How did you get into kava?
I went to school and I went to college in upstate New York, and there was a cava place there. My ex-boyfriend would always take me there, so I just started drinking it.
Cool. Yeah. I'm a big fan. I got into it when I was traveling through Fiji.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've been, all right, let's see. This is just a lot of bullshit. So I just want to get to the questions. I don't know how to find these. Okay. So we kind of covered that. So yeah. Okay, let's see. How much should I apply to cover them? Okay, so many troll questions. I want to get to like. Okay, do you put it on the skin or clothes or both?
I would say both because some people say you shouldn't put fragrance on your clothing because it'll bleach your clothing. I've always heard that. I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to it, but I've never had a problem with my clothing being bleached from fragrance. If you are kind of, if you have a very expensive clothing item or something that you don't want to damage, maybe spray it from a little farther rather than closer. But on clothing, it's going to last longer than it's going to last on your skin. Same on your hair. If you happen to have long hair, I don't think many of you do, but if you do, if you spray it on your hair, that'll also last longer. So do it on both for performance.
Courtney Ryan was talking to Akamai and Fitch Fierce. What's your opinion about it?
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't usually recommend fragrances from department stores and stuff because again, they're not very high quality, but Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce is actually a really good fragrance. I think it's really sexy and it has pretty good performance. Like it projects very well and many people like it actually. So definitely a good affordable fragrance.
Okay. What about for men in the winter? I don't know if we covered that.
Fragrances for men in the winter? Okay.
Yeah.
So depends on where you live. Again, if you're in Miami, wintertime, it's not going to make much of a difference what fragrance you would wear. But if you are somewhere where there's a defined winter, a lot of Tom Ford fragrances are good. So like I was saying, there's ombre leather, Tuscan leather, there's oud wood, tobacco oud, lots of those. The heavier ones for sure. You want something heavier for winter. So look for fragrances that have notes of leather, oud, even tobacco. If you want something kind of cool, there's Black Afgano from Nasamato. There's Jazz Club from Replica. John Barbados, the leather one. I think it's also a good fragrance. So just look for darker, heavier scents rather than fresher ones. Save those more for when it's summertime and springtime.
I didn't even know that with colognes there was like a summer, spring. Like I thought it was just all like
yeah. Because think about it, if it's really hot and you're wearing something that's very heavy, and like for instance here in Paris there's a lot of Middle Eastern people and they love the oud fragrances and very strong fragrances, and if you wear those when it's very hot, which they do, like a lot of them are from Dubai and they'll wear very very strong fragrances in the heat, that can really overwhelm those around you and overwhelm you, and you don't really want to do that. If it's very hot, you want something that's lighter and fresher. And if it's colder, then maybe you want something a little bit cozier.
Do people ever think you're Middle Eastern?
No. Do I look Middle Eastern?
Not really. To me, you look very Spanish, but that's because I live in Miami. But I can, like, if it's a culture of like a lot of Middle Eastern people, I can see like some people think you're like Lebanese or something.
Everybody knows right away that I'm.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, let's see what else we get. Is there you guys don't have much interest in learning difference? So yeah, we kind of got into that. We covered that in the beginning. Does she like Creed Aventus?
Yeah, Creed Aventus. If you're in the fragrance community, which is like a very niche kind of nerdy community of everyone talking about fragrances all the time, people there kind of hate it because it's a very popular fragrance. But outside of the fragrance community, not many people are wearing Creed Aventus. So that's one fragrance that I really, really recommend. Like it's 100% going to get you compliments from women, from men, from everybody. It's really versatile, has incredible projection. Like you can smell that from pretty far. And it is pricier. It's like in the $300 range. But if you can make the investment, totally recommend it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is not to be that guy that smells like crap at the gym.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know Miami, like the LA Fitness and Brickell. There's this one like old dude there who just like smells so bad, and then he like tries to hit on every girl, but he smells so bad. And I'm just watching this from afar. I'm just like, let's see how long this chick will like make it. And the girls are like, I have a boyfriend. They're like trying not to throw up. I'm watching this, and
Yeah.
sometimes she'll like try to like go up to me and like bro out with me, like, "Yo, man, what are you working on today?" I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, like, get away from me."
So funny. Yeah, you see, if you smell bad, you cause immediate repulsion. Like there's no way you can make a good impression ever if you smell bad. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's funny. I'll actually tell a pretty funny story. When I was growing up, when I was in like middle school, I was a completely different person. I was like very insecure and stuff like that. But um, I used to like, obviously, like you're like in middle school, like kids smell bad, right?
Yeah.
And I used to be like super paranoid of smelling bad. So what I would do is I would bring an extra shirt with me to class, and like at third period, I would go to the bathroom and switch my shirts, and then like sometimes I get called out, like, "Hey man, are you wearing a different shirt?" I'm like, "No, it's the same one." Like, "You were wearing a different shirt earlier." I'm like,
Would they be different colors or would you bring the
"Yeah,
same?
different colors." Like I wasn't that good at planning it, so like I would get caught and like, I think he's wearing a different shirt. I was like, nope, nope, nope. Even though it's not a big deal, like nowadays, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, put on a different shirt. Like, like I don't give a shit now. But it's funny, like the lengths that people would go to. But you know what I actually found? When I switched my diet, I started
Mhm.
having a much better like natural smell. So when I used to
Yeah.
eat a lot of crappy food, I would smell bad. But then when I started eating
Yeah.
healthy, like just my smell got better.
That's 100% a thing. 100% a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed when I was doing a lot of hot yoga, actually, when I was like 23, 24,
Mm.
that's when like I just had like no body smell at all, like no bad smell. Like
Really?
even if I didn't wear it, because I mean, obviously you'd shower afterwards, but like just because I would sweat out all the toxins every day, so there would be like no toxins like for me to smell bad. I don't know, it's something I
Yeah.
observed. Uh,
Do you still do yoga now?
no, not really. I used to do it all the time, but not anymore. I'm just kind of burned out on it. How to choose a cheap but great cologne? What are like your favorite cheap ones? What kind
Like I was saying, honestly, I don't really know that many cheap colognes because usually cheap colognes are not good. So usually, so I don't really necessarily look for them too much. But Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce, like we were saying, is good. Bentley for Men Intense, I think it's what it's called. Or Bentley for Men, that's a good one also. Um, you can look up on YouTube. There's many tops on YouTube. If you just look up top affordable colognes and stuff, you can find many great lists. But to be honest, I do think it's better to have one or two good ones and invest your money in getting good ones than buying a bunch of cheap ones because you're gonna end up reapplying them 20 times because the smell goes away like this, and you're just gonna end up spending the same money than if you just bought a good one that you can spray less.
What do you think about Versace Eros Green?
I'm not a fan of Versace Eros. I think it's really popular and I think it's very juvenile. Like it's the kind of fragrance that maybe someone in their early 20s or in college would wear to party. It's not very sophisticated. I think there's just way better things out there. So not the biggest fan. But if you wear it again, like if you wear it and you like how it makes you feel and it works for you, then for sure enjoy it.
Mhm. What do you think about Sun Ferment by Jill Sander?
I'm not familiar with that fragrance, never heard of it. I
Yeah,
don't
pretty
know.
much everything for the last 15 minutes has been like Chinese to me. Like I don't know any of these,
Yeah.
so I'm just reading it out. What is the ideal attire for men in the winter?
As in clothing or fragrance wise?
Yeah, no, clothing. In your opinion,
Clothing. Well, I'm not a fashion expert. I
just based
think
on your personal
turtlenecks.
opinion.
I think turtlenecks can look good. I think good scarves can also look good. Um, yeah, just a good turtleneck. A good again. I'm a big fan of having fewer items that are good quality and that are going to really make your image more elegant versus having a bunch of cheap things. So if you can invest in a few good turtlenecks, good cardigans, good leather blazers, that kind of vibe. I think that's good. Trench coats, stuff like that. Just elegant things, I would say.
Yeah, or you can just move to Miami where you can wear a t-shirt year round. That's another
Where
option.
you can wear, yeah, where you can wear shorts all year round.
Do you know Derek from More Plates, More Days?
No.
Oh,
What
interesting. Okay,
is
he's
that a
like,
YouTube channel?
yeah, he's also like low key part of the Manosphere.
Oh, okay.
He talks about like this stuff sometimes. Okay, let's see. Basically the topic. Come on, don't worry. I wish I could do it. Why would you wish that? There's something. Okay. There's this guy who's going crazy in the fucking comments. All right, I'm gonna silence him for like 10 minutes. Put user in timeout. You're in timeout, Peter. Okay, let's see. What other questions do we have? All right, guys, if you have some questions, get them in now because we just ran through all the questions. Well, let me ask you this while the guys type. What are like some general mistakes that you find that guys commonly make when it comes to game and whatnot?
Hmm.
Like based on your own personal experience, like, oh, this guy did this, I lost interest, or
Yeah. I think it's really important, like you were saying earlier, to find a good balance with the way you're approaching. I don't think you should be too aggressive, and I don't think you should be too subtle either. Because if you're too subtle, it can come off as, is he trying to actually hit on me? Is he trying to get to know me, or is he just actually looking for the Starbucks? So you do want to make sure that the person knows that you're interested. And I would say put yourself in somewhat of a leadership position. Don't make her be questioning whether you're interested, and don't make her have to give you her Instagram or any of that. Like, you ask for the person's number, ask for her Instagram, whatever it is that you ask for. So make it clear that you would like to see them again. But at the same time, I personally would never, like, if someone came up to me like you were saying earlier and was like, I don't know, I think you're hot or something like that, I would never even give my time of day to that person. I don't think the women that you would want to be with would also really approve of that. So you don't want to be super aggressive in that sense either, that that you're being disrespectful or something. So
wait,
so
so
yeah. Sorry, go
you're
ahead.
saying that hollering at the side of the street, like "Yo, mamacita," is not good game?
Not usually, no.
Okay,
Depends what you want to attract.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I think some guys make the mistake of playing it like too cool because they're worried about like, oh, if I show my intent, I give away my power, so I'm gonna play it really cool. But you
Yeah,
can play like too cool, where the girl's like, okay, he's not interested,
yeah.
and then they lose interest. What do you think about Jeremy Fragrance?
Jeremy Fragrance. He's the, I don't know if this person, I'm assuming they know, they're asking, but he's the number one fragrance reviewer on YouTube. He has like over 1 million subscribers, so he's
Oh, damn.
huge. Everybody knows him. His content has really changed. He used to make a lot of videos actually reviewing fragrances and recommending them. Now he's just more of an entertainer. I don't watch him too often, but he does make me laugh a lot when I watch him. So I just think he's a funny guy, and his views are up when he does entertaining stuff versus more fragrance related content. So I think, despite what everybody is saying about him, that he's crazy or whatever, I think he knows what he's doing. And yeah, I mean, his bank account is obviously showing that he knows what he's doing. So funny
I'm
guy.
not, yeah, I'm not familiar with him at all. I heard some people
You should
say
check him out.
that I should,
He's
yeah, I
very
should have him
interesting.
on the channel. I just haven't had a chance to look into it.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, how to get good pics if you're not doing interesting things without looking fake?
Hmm.
So my take on that would be that, like, let's take a look. Let's, for example, take a look at my Instagram, right? Sir Alex Z, so you guys can follow along. Like, if you look at my, most recent pic, it's like me on a motorcycle. It looks pretty cool, right? What really happened? Well, my Kava delivery guy rides a badass bike, and he had dropped it off, and I was like, "Yo, man, you have a badass bike." He's like, "Thanks, man." And I was like, "Yo, can I get some pictures on that bike?" He's like, "Sure, man." And then we took some pictures on that bike, and bam, I got a badass pic. So I don't think that it's that bad to fake it to some extent. That's kind of like my take on that. You can be like, I remember when I was like 23, 24, I was trying to get pictures for my first ever Tinder profile. One of my neighbors had a really badass bike, so I knocked on his door and I was like, "Yo, man, can I take some pictures on your bike?" He's like, "Yeah, just don't fuck it up." And so I got like some cool pictures. So you can do shit like that. Just gotta be a little creative. You have anything to add on that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I would also say though, if you're not really doing interesting things, maybe you shouldn't be focused so much on the photos, and maybe kind of work on doing interesting things. And I don't mean interesting things as in like social media interesting things. Like, I mean, if you're not living like the kind of life that you consider interesting, maybe focus on that before you focus on the pictures. But I
Mhm.
do agree with what you said.
Are you familiar with Alan Roger Curry?
I am not. I do not know what that is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wait, actually, Alan Rod, no. Please.
ARC. Yeah. I had him on for a podcast like 3 or 4 months ago. He's an interesting guy. He talks about like being super direct and shit like that.
Wait, is he the one? I think I do know him actually. He's a trainer, right?
No, no.
No? Oh, never mind.
Um, Alex, tell us more about your trip to Romania and how's the girls in gaming there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wrote about this. I wasn't really the biggest fan of Romania. it was like a lot of what would annoy me is also like people in Romania, all like their fucking ACs are broken. So you'd be walking down the street and then you just get a gob of AC goo on your head. And like that's like considered normal there. And it's like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, it's raining again. Oh wait, that's just the AC above me leaking and shit like that. It's like Eastern Europe problems. But no, I mean, you can read my full report about it. I wasn't the biggest fan. What do you think about Nautica Voyage?
That's a really affordable fragrance for those who are not familiar. It's really really cheap. I think you can find it for less than $20, maybe like $15. Um, if you have it already and you can wear it after the shower for the gym, it smells fine. Like it smells good. But if you want to make an impression on somebody, it's definitely not something that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm. Ask her friends anything about when she talks about Manosphere stuff to them.
Uh, I don't really talk so much about it. I do occasionally, but I don't necessarily lead my conversations talking about stuff like that. I do have some guy friends here actually from school, and sometimes I talk to them about it. And yeah, sometimes they actually don't agree with me so much, but
Oh, let me ask you this question. This is something my girlfriend likes to talk about. What do you think men and women can truly be friends if there's an attraction there?
not if there's an attraction. I mean, you could be friends, you can make it work, but it doesn't seem super beneficial. But if there's an attraction, yeah, I don't know that that's such a good idea. If there's no attraction, 100%.
Yeah, the debate we always have is she's like, "Oh, but I have many male friends." I'm like, "Yeah, but they all want to bang you. Like they just
Yeah,
don't admit it."
yeah,
And they're just
for
like, "No,
sure.
they don't." I'm like, "I guarantee you that if you texted them all right now, hey, I want to sleep with you," they would all be like, "Yes, please."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, what is your IG again? Sir Alex Z. Sir Alex Z. Um, thoughts on Versace? Okay, thoughts on Versace Dylan Blue?
I feel bad because every time someone asks me my thoughts on something, I'm such a hater, and I'm like, I don't like this. But
No, no, it's all
Versace,
good.
Versace fragrances, unless it's the private line of Versace, maybe that's a little better. But the Versace fragrances are not the best. So if you want to stick with designer houses and you don't want to delve more into the niche perfumery, I would say stick with Hermes, Dior, Chanel, and yeah, I think those are the better designer houses typically. Versace not so good.
Okay.
Armani is also good, by the way.
Yeah, if he was that good, he wouldn't have gotten murdered. No, I'm just kidding. Just fucking around. Alex, thanks for your feedback. I didn't realize night photos were so bad. Can you ask her if the photo shoot look is bad? Should men have multiple outfits? So the question is like, is it bad if it looks like you were clearly taking a photo shoot?
No, like if you pay, like if it's a legit photo shoot that you paid for,
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't see why that would ever be bad.
The,
It
the
shows
logic,
that you care about it. Yeah, I don't know.
the logic is that because it looks like fake, it looks posed,
Yeah.
right? When you're doing a photo shoot versus like, you're out and about and you're doing like natural things, right?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you would be out and about, but I also don't think it should matter that much. But yeah, if you have a nice photo shoot, then I think that works fine.
My take on it is that you don't want to have all your pictures be like from a photo shoot. You want to have like a
Yeah.
nice balance. If you have a few photos, that's okay as long as they're balanced out by natural looking photos. Should men have multiple outfits when getting pictures taken? Yes. You don't want to be wearing the same outfit in multiple photos. That's a bad look. Um, oh, this is look way too. This is going to put you on the spot a little bit. You don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. Mari, do you find Alex attractive? Honest opinion.
This is my first time actually seeing you, face. I've seen some of your videos, obviously, but I do think you're attractive. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, thank you, Mari. Much appreciated.
I think mostly he's very confident. Obviously, he wouldn't be doing this otherwise. And I think as long as someone is confident and they have the reasons to be confident, like they're not just randomly arrogant, then yeah, they're gonna be attractive most of the time.
Thanks. You're my new favorite podcast guest.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. How can we see the report? Go to playingfire.com under tips and guide on the travel section. Where'd I open my other one? Prada, La Homme, Dole, and Gabbana, the one.
Depends on what you want it for. Dolce and Gabbana, the one is better for dates, for going out maybe, for the winter also. Prada L'Homme is better for work and just for smelling fresh and clean on the daily, but I still think it's a better fragrance than Dolce and Gabbana, the one.
Hermes Terra, thoughts?
I think they may not attack the mess. Good fragrance. I actually really like it. I have a very strong preference for kind of more mature scents. And Ternemes is definitely a more vintage. It's what's called a fougère. It's very like vintage and not very modern necessarily. So it's definitely more on the mature side, 30, 35 plus. But on the right person, I think it's incredible. Very gentlemanly.
Mm. I love her perspective. Pretty girl.
Oh, that's my mom.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Hi,
I
mom.
told
That's cool. My mom also watches my live streams and she comments as well. So that's cool.
yeah.
Always good to have mom support. Uh,
Always good.
how does she want to be? Okay, wait. This is a troll question. Best fall fragrance for a date. Did we answer that?
Yeah, we did some winter
Okay.
slash. Yeah,
Uh,
so that's yeah.
just arrived on the live. I don't know what to ask, but is Jean Paul Gaultier a good fragrance? Yeah, I'm French. Oh, you got a
Oh,
fellow
me.
French person.
So Jean-Paul Gaultier, he's a whole house, a whole line. So I don't know which one he means in particular. Maybe he means Le Mal. I think that's the most famous Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrance, and it's a very popular fragrance. Very good. Yeah, good fragrance.
What are reasons to be confident? What I mean, that's a pretty vague question. Well, confidence, generally speaking, comes from experience and positive results. So, for example, I've done hundreds of these live streams, right? So I'm pretty confident because usually they go well, right? So I have no reason to doubt myself. When I did my first ever podcast, you can check it out. I was a lot less confident, right? If you were to put me in like I don't know a board meeting talking about finance or something like that, something I have no experience about, I probably wouldn't be confident. So it just comes down to experience, like with approaching girls. Like if you've approached hundreds of girls and you've had good results, generally speaking, then you're going to be a lot more confident than the guy who's never approached a girl, right? So that's like the very rough and dirty version of confidence. Do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah. So for me, it's more of a vague answer. I'm only 22, so it's not like I have all the answers for this. It's a pretty difficult question, but I would say that what makes me confident on a daily basis or typically is just knowing that I'm doing things that are better for me long term. So if I'm choosing things that are better for me long term versus short term, generally, in other words, if I'm choosing things that are going to kind of get me the life that I aspire to and that I want, whatever that is, like smaller to bigger things. Like an example, if you want to be a bodybuilder and you're doing day in and day out, you're putting in the work when it comes to your food and to your working out, that's going to eventually make you more confident than, because it's going to kind of limit that cognitive dissonance. Not to get too nerdy there, but it's, I think choosing the things that are better for you are really ultimately gonna make you confident, because it's like you got yourself, like you got your own back. So
Right, right. Dolce and Gabbana, the one. Did we answer that one? Sounds
yeah,
familiar.
yeah, good
Okay.
fragrance.
Uh, do you talk in French? Random
I've only
question.
been in France for 2 months. I know enough to get by. I speak French every day at this point, but it's very, very limited. Salute.
Yeah. So yeah, my first language. Well, not my first language, but the language I studied in school was French. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I've
You probably
completely
know more than me.
no, I've forgotten like most of it,
Forgot
honestly. Yeah. I know like salute, chetty, stuff like that. Uh,
it.
how much is too much cologne? Okay, so we kind of covered that earlier in the podcast. Uh, the- why do most women think dating is easy for men? Now some angry, but I do think the average girl thinks typical guy has 50 partners. What's your take on that?
Before I started watching Manosphere
Mhm.
videos, I
Yeah.
didn't know they were called. That's funny, but I definitely thought so. I would always be like, "Damn, like dating is so easy for guys. They don't have to do anything." I still think it's easier for that small percentage of guys that they're always talking about. Like
Mm,
for very like for an athlete or for a famous person, I think it is very easy,
yeah.
obviously, but I think we see it as easier because we expect guys, and usually that's the way it goes, for them to take the leadership position. So if we like someone, or let me speak from my personal, like if I like someone and maybe I want him to take things further and stuff, my thoughts, whether conscious or not, would be like, it's so easy for him, like all he has to do is just like ask me out, and it's done. But not every guy is in that position, evidently. So
Right, right, right. Uh, what is the best musky tobacco woody? Wow, this is something very specific. What
yeah.
is the best musky tobacco woody type of scent?
So musky, and usually tobacco scents, woody tobacco scents don't always have musk in them, but I can give you a good tobacco woody one. It's tobacco oud from Tom Ford. It's really good tobacco wood scent. I don't know if it has musk in it though.
Pass on this message, Mari. You're pretty.
Thank you, Doug.
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
C'est très bon. Jean-Paul Gaultier, c'est très bon.
Okay, I don't know what you guys said, but Givenchy, the original set is it timeless? Givenchy pay the original set is it timeless for you or outdated?
I haven't tried the original scent, but I've tried whatever they're selling nowadays, and I actually think it's a really good fragrance.
Okay. I'm just it's funny, like these guys know way more about cologne than I do. I like all this stuff is just like French, I mean Chinese to me, because I know a little bit of French. Let's see what other good question. Let's say he's going to go here. I don't know. Yeah, this is a weird question. What's a good body count for a guy to have? Let's say he is 26. Would you want a guy who's been with 30 plus girls? I don't know. Like, you want to answer that?
Honestly, I would never ask someone directly. I mean, maybe I would. I don't know. I don't know that I would ask someone what's your body count, but I would probably prefer someone who's a little bit more experienced than someone who's a virgin.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a huge thing, but yeah, I would probably prefer that.
Yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts too. Plus, also, you don't like imagine like you're like trying to like, okay, my ideal girlfriend wants a 30 body count, so I got to get there before I can like go up to her.
Yeah.
Or just get like really confusing really fast. Alex trying to pronounce frag names. Yeah. What fragrances should you buy? What fragrances should I buy?
Well, that depends. You have a girlfriend, so you should really actually take her with you sometime to Saks Fifth Avenue or something, and do some testing and ask her what she's into, and see what she likes. Get her one too, and it's a happy day.
Yeah, well, we did that in the beginning. So just go back to the beginning of the podcast. We covered that pretty extensively. Yeah. All right, guys. If you have any last questions, oh, there we go. What does she think of Tours d'Origine, Cremo, Spice, and Black Vanilla?
So I'm guessing these are all Tous fragrances. I have never tried Tous fragrances. They're actually not very common. I've never seen them be sold. And I usually only test things that either I buy from, I buy samples, or things that I can directly test in perfumeries. And I've never actually seen Tous fragrances be sold. So sorry, I don't know.
Cool. All right, yeah, that's pretty much I think all the questions we have. Any last words, Mari, like about like I don't know, like final thoughts about like what men should keep in mind with this kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I don't think fragrance is necessarily the most important thing out there. Like, it's way more important for you to be attractive, whatever that means to you, confident, take care of yourself, be fit, all that. But if you have all that going for you and you add a really good fragrance that suits you, I think you're gonna be a 10. So don't sleep on good fragrances for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. So check out Mari. She has a YouTube channel, Mari Sense. Are you anywhere else besides YouTube?
I'm on Instagram. I can type it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. We'll put everything in the description as well.
Okay.
So people are watching this on repeat. So check her out. Support her channel. Show her some love. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because tomorrow we have a live stream. We got a bunch of chicks coming in the studio. It's going to be a good time. And then we got Sarah J coming in on Thursday. So we got a lot of big things ahead. Thank you so much, Mari. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. All right.